Do you hear that? Listen closely, my viewers. That noise is the sound of the clock ticking down on Donald Trump's presidency, and now, according to CNN, it's moving much faster than anyone anticipated. This is big. Welcome to Occupy Democrats. I'm David Reddish. And yes, the swelling is down and I'm starting to look like myself again. Special thanks to Janelle, my nurse practitioner, and thank you to all of you for the well wishes. On to our story. Topping the news today is a new impeachment bombshell. But before we get there, we need to revisit the machinations and President Taco's history with the process. You'll recall that he is the only president in United States history to be impeached twice, and only the third in history to undergo a trial at all. Take a look at this little flashback from ABC.
All day long here, we've been watching the short bursts of anger, the closing arguments from both sides. Democrats arguing the evidence was clear, arguing the president used the power of his office for personal and political gain with this election coming. Republicans asking where is the evidence of a crime, and that Democrats have wanted this since day one. And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who repeatedly resisted impeachment, changing her mind after that call with the president of Ukraine, saying the president gave us no choice. Just before the vote tonight, Republicans warned of partisan battles to come in future impeachment fights. But a short time ago, President Trump was impeached, with the president on stage at a rally in Michigan tonight.
You know, talking about impeachment and Donald Trump is problematic, in part because everything the man does is deranged, and because in his second term, much of it is dubious legally at best. It's easy, since we've had two presidents impeached in the past 20 years, to shrug it off as political theater, and in some ways that is true. But it's important to remember, impeachment is a very serious process, one of the most grave laid out in our Constitution. Still, it's telling that back in June, this happened.
The president's biggest campaign donor, who was so close that Trump invited him to sleep at the White House, is now calling for him to be impeached and replaced by Vice President J.D. Vance. The man who was handed nearly unfettered access to the federal government is openly musing about forming his own political party. And the same guy, the billionaire backing the U.S. space program, he's now threatening to take his rockets and go home. What at this time yesterday was a one-sided attack on the president's signature spending bill is no longer just a policy disagreement, not even close. It has now become quite personal.
Good Lord, how has it only been 8 months? I think I've aged about 10 years in that time. How about you? Fortunately, there is a light at the end of this tunnel. Stick around. And look, Elon Musk is hardly the voice of reason, since the man's on so much ketamine he could only partially exist on a normal plane of existence. But the man does have a point. In his second term, Donald Trump has arguably violated the Constitution on everything from DOGE to deportation to withholding congressionally appropriated funds to ordering governors to gerrymander their states, to use the levers of government to target his enemies like Letitia James or James Comey. For more on all of that, see our other videos here on the channel. And anyone who thinks Trump is protected by a congressional Republican majority, think twice. The midterms are coming, and a new poll released by CNN shows Donald Trump is in more danger than he realized. A new poll performed by Lake Research Partners and released by CNN reveals that a majority of swing district voters, 49%, want Donald Trump impeached again. That includes 48% of independent voters. Even more astounding, 45% of those voters already want him removed from office. Other data reveals that a majority of swing voters, 56%, disapprove of Trump's job performance. That includes a whopping 93% of Democrats and 54% of independents. So how are those midterms looking now, Taco? This is, for the record, even worse news for House Speaker Mike Tiny Johnson, since it looks more and more like he will not be Speaker after the midterm elections. Hakeem Jeffries is salivating. Now, before we drift too far here, it does bear mentioning that even if Democrats retake the House and vote to impeach Trump, the Senate would still need to vote him out with 67 votes or more. Even after the January 6th insurrection, only 57 senators voted to convict. Some of that had to do with Mitch McConnell's tinkering, holding the final vote after Trump left office. But if the recent turmoil in the Senate over the Epstein files, Kash Patel's ineptitude, and Robert Kennedy's health recklessness offer any hint, there may be more Republican senators who would rather see a President J.D. Vance as a more effective and responsible leader. Furthermore, with Trump still having 2 years left in his term, Lord save us, McConnell and Senate Majority Leader John Thune wouldn't be able to sabotage a vote so easily. So the countdown continues, and the more Trump manages to foul up, the faster it ticks. So stay tuned, folks. For all the latest updates on this and other breaking news stories, remember to subscribe. This is Occupy Democrats.